Hey, what's up? It's your Friday guy, Kai. I need a haircut, but I've been lazy. Anyways, this week's topic is navigating the world. I'm sorry, I'm looking for. Yes, this week's topic is navigating the world with a trans identity. This is a pretty loaded topic. There's a lot I could talk about. Um, I don't know. I kind of find this topic interesting because, to be completely honest with you, at this point in my life, for the most part, it doesn't feel like I'm navigating the world with a trans identity. It feels like I'm very much navigating the world with a male identity, not a trans man identity. Just like people see me as a guy, people treat me as a guy. I'd say definitely before I got on testosterone, before I had top surgery, before I was passing as fully as I am now, I felt a lot more like I was navigating the world with a trans identity. And now it just feels like uh, just a male identity. And so there's one of there's a whole bunch of questions we can talk about here. But one of the questions is, did you lose yourself? And I find that one particularly interesting because, like I said, I feel like at this point in my life, I'm navigating very much with like a male identity, but I do identify as a transgender guy, and I feel like being transgender has really shaped a lot of my life, like the way I see the world, the way I experience the world. But people don't treat me as a transgender guy; they treat me as a guy, and that's not like a bad thing. Uh, but I think there definitely is this thing of like, for me personally, okay, so of course, this is all me personally. This is not speak for transgender people as a whole. This is totally me. This is totally my experience and no one else's. Just want to put that out there right now because really more recently I've been dealing with this kind of question of like, why did I go on testosterone? Why did I get top surgery? And while I don't regret it, any of it at all, because I dysphoria has been so much better. Like I haven't dealt with as much dysphoria and things like just being able to live my life, feel safe, feel accepted, feel seen. All that has been fantastic. But the question has been more of like how other people see me, how other people see transgender people. If we lived in a society, so I tend to go back to like Native Americans, certain Native Americans, because that's really the closest people to me that I've like learned about, like living here in America. Obviously, this land was the Native Americans way before it was anyone else's, and there were Native American groups who, for someone to be what we now call transgender, or what I believe they called two spirit, is those people were seen as like really valuable, and I don't know, remember the exact words, and I don't want to mess it up, but they were like the opposite of kind of what transgender is. Whereas they were like very special people. Transgender today in our society is seen as like not a good thing, um, not a normal thing, I guess. And transgender people face a lot of hardships. And so the thing about that makes me wonder, like, if I lived in a society where transgender people, or people who were not um, like within the binary, people who were more androgynous, things like that, if those kinds of people like me, like I was before I physically transitioned, were more accepted and viewed as more normal and treated like truly how they saw themselves, because I saw myself always as more masculine, but people didn't never treated me like that, and people told me I needed to be more feminine. and all that stuff. And I think all that really like had an impact on me. And I wonder like would I have been more comfortable just being me instead of being male or female if people had really seen me for me instead of this whole feminine masculine thing where I could just be masculine and just be like just be, that's it. So in that sense, navigating the world with a trans identity, um, I feel like maybe I did certain things more because of how society viewed me, not because of how I viewed myself. But at the time, I thought it was because of how I viewed myself. And it's not to say I didn't deal with dysphoria and stuff like that, but how much of that dysphoria was caused by other people instead of myself. And some of it still might have been there regardless. You know, I'll never really know the answer to that. But either way, I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had, and I'm grateful that people now see me as me, and I'm able to do things and feel more comfortable with myself and going out and how people view me and all that. So did I lose myself? I don't know if lose myself is the right word because I definitely found myself in a lot of ways, but other people around me just they couldn't grasp onto that without me doing some real serious changes, um, and that's just kind of how it is. So as far as that, it's been, I know that wasn't really. I feel like I didn't even answer the talk about the topic because the topic's navigating the world with the trans identity. The thing is, I just don't feel like I'm navigating the world with the trans identity currently. Um, I know there was some talk about like kind of going from being visibly like maybe like a if I were in a relationship with a female now like I was in high school. In high school, we were clearly like a LGBT couple, uh, L couple, lesbian couple, but now it'd be kind of more seen as like a straight couple and stuff like that. I mean, there's that. That doesn't really, as someone who dates both, who would date men and women. I haven't dated anyone lately. That's not really like a big issue for me. I think the hardest thing is probably just I grew up around a lot of girls because I was on sports teams with girls, and I'm more comfortable around girls sometimes in that regard. I just grew up with being around them more, but a lot of times I find it hard to make those friendships or find those spaces and be around girls and like kind of like try to get those friendships without it being something that's seen as like romantic or just like sometimes it's just harder to like interact because uh, girls who don't know me are going to be more likely to be more hesitant around me or like just like even just being in dorm rooms. I've been the whole time even before I got top surgery. I was just barely on testosterone and stuff. I've always been in the men's dorm, and I never talked to my my suite mates or anything because I just wasn't very comfortable, and I'm not very social anyways. But if I had had like a female roommate, that might have been different. I might have actually been friends with them because I'm more comfortable talking to girls and stuff. I mean, now it's all good because I'm suite mates with my best friend who um, shares the same identity as me. But um, back back then I kind of almost wanted a female roommate just because I would have felt more comfortable, but they wouldn't put me with females because of me being on testosterone, which like a lot of that's being on being in a female room would have caused other problems with dysphoria and stuff like that. So it's kind of like give and take, but things like that I feel like is the only thing that's kind of difficult because I was socialized more around girls and stuff, but now I'm kind of like seen as male, which I love and is great, but it's hard to kind of have that same interaction with girls that I used to, which is just as friends and stuff. So I mean, all that is just it's hard to explain because at the end of the day, masculine, feminine, male, female, none of that really matters. It's just the person that matters. But that's just been my experience a little bit. with it, and the difficulties I've had. Overall, at this point in my life, I don't feel like I'm navigating the world with a trans identity much, except for maybe bathrooms. Bathrooms are still a little scary, especially if at certain times I still deal with a menstrual cycle. So if I'm dealing with that, it's just men's restrooms are not made for that kind of stuff, and people don't expect any men to be dealing with that, and products are not made for men. So that's like the hardest thing I feel like, and that always reminds me very clearly that I'm transgender and stuff. But other than that, I don't, being trans doesn't have a huge impact on my life anymore. It definitely did a few years ago, and when I was in the midst of transitioning, but I consider myself pretty much transitioned at this point, and passing pretty much as cis. So, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I'm sorry if I kind of didn't hit exactly on the topic this time. Um, I tried. That's just really my true experience at this point in my life. So I hope that's okay. But anyways, I'll talk to you all next week. As always, stay strong, stay safe, and say you. I love you all. Peace.